Chapter 2904. With the Dragon Palace at his back 7-inch not going? You won't be in danger with the protection of the Jade Token. Don't worry, you won't die. The God Emperor of Upper Water glared at Invincible when he heard him. I'm not going. What if I run into danger and return to my own country? I can't stay here anymore. Master, I'm not going to the battlefield. I want to stay here to protect you. Invincible said with a straight face. You brat. When Upper Water God Emperor heard John F.A. Woody's words, he was so angry that he wanted to teach him a lesson. But there were too many people around, so he didn't make a move. Protect me? The God Emperor of Upper Water stared at his disciple with a black face. Hee Qingshan, this disciple of yours doesn't look old from his aura, but he's pretty strong. The fourth Supreme Elder said with a smile on his face. This disciple of mine is good at everything except for his fear of death and mischievous behavior. The God Emperor of Upper Water shook his head and patted Invincible's head. The corner of Invincible's mouth twitched. He really wanted to protect his master. He wanted so many treasures from the Dragon Palace to protect his own life. But if he wasn't in danger, he could protect his master. After all, the treasures he had could kill 2 or 3 First-Order God Emperors. If his master returned to his own country, all his treasures would be useless. Hence, before coming here, Invincible had decided not to take risks. He would be a coward if he could. Junior brother, you're too cowardly. How long are you going to be a coward? You need to hone your combat skills. The senior brothers and sisters beside him were speechless. Cough cough, this isn't cowardly. I'm going to hone my combat skills after I'm invincible. Invincible warrior said shamelessly. The 3 senior brothers and sisters were speechless. Master, let's familiarize ourselves with this place before heading to the battlefield to train. The 3 of them said to the God Emperor of Upper Water. The God Emperor of Upper Water revealed a satisfied look. Tsk, this battlefield is too cruel. I need to send a message to Big Boss Wong, Old Master Heavenly Array, Demon Fiend Orochi and the other big brothers. Let them know how dangerous it is for me to be here. As Invincible Combatant spoke, he took out the communication stone plate that was specially used to communicate with Wang Xian and the rest. Immediately, he aimed it ahead and started recording. After filming, he began to edit the message and sent it to Wang Xian and the rest. Therefore, in the next few days, Invincible Fighter would spend his free time taking photos and videos. Later on, they even made a big fuss about how dangerous this place was and how they were fighting bravely with their invincible battle techniques. Especially when he sent the video to Heaven Heart, it was even more exaggerated. This made many people in the 3rd Division recognize Invincible Warrior as a coward. Wow, Boss Wong, you have no idea how tragic the situation here is. It's already the 5th day, and my master has already entered the battlefield. He's fighting a First-Order God Emperor realm demonic creature. The entire battlefield is too tragic. Boss Wong, take a look. There are so many injured soldiers. Invincible Warrior stood at the front line of the battle platform, shooting all kinds of videos. In the end, when he saw someone injured, he even took a few photos of the others. You. Shut up. How can the deputy leader have such a cowardly disciple like you? Your senior brothers and senior sisters all know how to enter the battlefield to fight. But you coward. Why are you still taking photos here and there? That injured soldier couldn't help but scold Invincible Fighter. Cough cough. Brother, your words are a little harsh. I'm not even from the Lioli region. Invincible Fighter coughed and lifted his head when he saw that injured soldier rebuking him. That soldier was speechless. Since the other party wasn't from the Lioli region, what else could he say? 4th, 5th and 6th battle groups attack. At this time, an order sounded from the void ahead. Get lost. A slightly cold voice sounded from behind. Invincible Fighter turned around and saw a middle-aged man staring at him coldly. He raised his middle finger and immediately stepped aside. Damn it. Even your father is dead. I'm the disciple of your deputy leader, a man with the backing of the Dragon Palace. How dare you scold me? I'll fuck you up if I have the chance in the future. Invincible Fighter looked at that figure and mumbled. Sigh. Why do I feel that the battles are getting more and more intense these days? Just the Third Army alone has more than 20 million casualties. Invincible Fighter looked at the battlefield and frowned slightly. He had a bad feeling about this. He touched the treasure in his arms, and finally felt a little more at ease. Phew. 5 hours later, the upper water divine emperor flew over, and wiped the blood off his body. Master, are you alright? Invincible Fighter ran over immediately, took out a cup of water and asked. I'm fine. This is the fresh blood of that celestial emperor demon. The upper water divine emperor nodded. Master, big senior brother and third junior brother are in danger. They were surrounded by demons, and were forced to return to their own kingdoms. At this time, second senior sister flew over, and reported to the upper water divine emperor. The upper water divine emperor nodded, and looked at the battlefield ahead with a solemn expression. Deputy leader, the leader of our first army has fallen. At this time, a soldier flew over and reported to the upper water divine emperor. Let the deputy leader take over. The upper water divine emperor frowned and said. The leader of the first army was an expert at the pinnacle of the God-King realm. The battle now was getting more and more intense. Oh my God! Invincible Fighter murmured when he heard that. He patted his chest. Fortunately, he didn't go over. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to hold on even with the dragon tool. The following battles were still as intense as ever. Invincible Fighter's expression grew more and more solemn. Around him, soldiers with serious injuries were bandaging their wounds. Third Army except for the injured attack. Suddenly, a series of terrifying roars came from the void in front of them. Invincible Fighter and the others could see huge demon dens flying towards them. Countless demons flew out from within, letting out terrifying roars. And those two roars belonged to Celestial Emperor-level existences. First Army, except for the injured attack. Second Army, except for the injured attack. Fourth Army, except for the injured attack. At this time, voices could be heard from the surroundings. This caused everyone's expression to change slightly. Boom! Invincible Fighter frowned when he saw his master rushing into the battlefield ahead. The situation is a little bad. Invincible Fighter murmured and frowned. My master can't die. Chapter 2905. With the Dragon Palace at his back 8-inch shit. Things aren't looking good. More than 20 Emperor God-level monsters flew out of the demon's lair. We're in trouble. We only have a dozen Emperor God experts on our side. I'm not sure if we can hold them off with the other divine weapons. Why are there so many terrifying monsters in Chimay region? D***. At the battlefield, everyone from the 6 armies except the injured had entered the battlefield. One by one, the Emperor God experts defended against the invasion of the Emperor God monsters. This was the most ferocious invasion over the past few days. At the front of the battle platform, a group of injured soldiers stared at the battlefield in embarrassment. Endless monsters were charging towards them, and the soldiers of Lioli region fought back with their lives. In a war of this level, they couldn't retreat to their own holy kingdom when they encountered danger. Once they retreated, the rest would be in danger. If that happened, they wouldn't be a match for the monsters. Hence, they could only fight to the death. The fall of the God Emperors wasn't because they couldn't escape. It was because they couldn't escape or retreat. Hence, 5 God Emperors had fallen. Junior brother, will master be fine? On the battle platform, Invincible's senior sister looked at the battle ahead, and said with a solemn expression. Facing the slaughter and the terrifying scene in front of him, he was also a little apprehensive. Heiss, master is getting old, and his brain isn't working well anymore. It's fine if you came back to visit master. Why did you come here to fight against the monsters, and inherit your father's position? Now it's hard to say if you can survive. You should stay as far away from such things as you can. Invincible looked at the battlefield ahead, and said helplessly. This. Invincible's senior sister looked at him, and didn't know what to say. No matter what, her master was a hero in her heart. As for her junior brother, he was too cowardly and a coward. Do you think everyone is like you? Like a coward? What's the point of cultivating? Isn't it to protect our home and take revenge? At this moment, an angry voice suddenly came from behind. Huh. When Invincible heard these words, he turned his head over to take a look. When he saw that it was the middle-aged man wearing a mecha, he curled his lips and showed a look of disdain. Although I hate Shangshui Qingshan, he did not bring shame to the name of Shangshui. I really don't know how he could have such a useless disciple like you, trash. When the middle-aged man saw the look of disdain on Jean Fa Woody's face, he berated him furiously. He dark light, ignore this guy. He's just a coward. His strength isn't bad, but he's a coward. Why bother with such a coward? Exactly, brother He Yao. There's no need to waste your breath on such a person. At the back, a group of injured players saw the situation and spoke to Ubisoft Dark Light. Yours truly isn't someone from the Luli region. The reason why yours truly cultivates is for the sake of longevity. Invincible Warrior raised his head, completely ignoring the mockery of the soldiers. Dark Light of Shangshui saw his fearless attitude and retreated with a gloomy face. He stared at the battlefield in front of him nervously. Invincible Warrior took out a mirror and looked at the battlefield in front of him. The intense battle continued. Cries of demons and humans could be heard in the void, accompanied by terrifying collisions. Their voices reverberated in the void. It's alright. Supreme Fourth Elder is very strong. He isn't at a disadvantage, even when facing two God Emperor class evils. The situation is about to stabilize. An hour later, Invincible Warrior's senior sister heaved a sigh of relief as she looked at the situation in front of her. There were 3 First Order God Emperor realm demons on their side, but they were completely pinned down by the God Emperor and the 4th Supreme Elder. Below them, hundreds of millions of soldiers formed a battle formation. Relying on the war machines and battleships, they gradually gained the upper hand. DDD. But all of a sudden, an urgent alarm rang in the center of the battle stage. Invincible Warrior was stunned when he heard this alarm. Damn it, another Devil's Den has appeared. At the back, a group of injured players heard the urgent alarm, and their faces changed. One by one, they flew into the sky and stared ahead. There are 2 huge Devil's Dens flying towards us. There might be God Emperor realm demons in them. An old man stared ahead with a solemn expression and shouted, "All armies retreat! Retreat to the 3rd front line! Everyone retreat!" At this time, a cold roar came from the center of the battle stage. "Retreat! We'll pin down the God Emperor realm demons. The rest of the soldiers retreat immediately." The God Emperor's voice rang out. "Retreat!" Everyone in the 3rd Legion immediately retreated. Boom boom boom. The battle stage behind Invincible Warrior and the others also rumbled. The entire battle stage moved and countless cannons popped out. The cannons were aimed at the front. Invincible Warrior's expression changed slightly when he saw this. In front of them, all the soldiers of the 3rd Division were retreating towards them. In the void ahead, the God Emperor and the 4th Supreme Elder were fighting against 3 First Order God Emperor realm demons. Terrifying roars could be heard coming from the 2 Devil's Dens that were flying over. At this time, huge heads flew out from the Devil's Dens. Damn it, all soldiers retreat quickly. Qingshan, we can hold on for a few more minutes. The 4th Supreme Elder looked over and roared with a solemn expression. Retreat, retreat, retreat. The soldiers of the 3rd Legion retreated quickly and soon reached the front of the battle stage. Everyone get on the battle stage. The commanders of the various battle groups shouted their orders. Boom boom boom. Countless soldiers retreated towards the battle stage. Invincible Warrior and his senior sister quickly opened up a path and stared ahead with a solemn expression. In front of them, countless demons were charging towards them. And from the 2 Devil's Dens, 2 First Order God Emperor realm demons flew out with countless subordinates. Some of them pounced towards the God Emperor and the 4th Supreme Elder, while others attacked the battle stage. Not good, Master and the others have to deal with 5 First Order God Emperor realm demons. Invincible Warrior's senior sister looked ahead with an ugly expression on her face. 5 against 2. If they weren't careful, their master might die. It's fine. The 4th Supreme Elder of the Colored Glass Sect should have a trump card. The Colored Glass Sect is the strongest force, after all. They should have a trump card. Invincible Warrior's expression changed slightly when he saw this. He muttered to himself, "Soldiers on the battle stage, attack the demons in front of us." All soldiers on the platforms, attack the demons up ahead. Activate the battle platforms and evacuate. Only after we evacuate will the Legion commander and the others be able to retreat. Attack. At this time, an angry roar came from the side. Invincible warrior looked at the demons in front of him. In addition to the two devil's dens, they were already at a disadvantage. AI. He sighed heavily. Chapter 2906. With the Dragon Palace at his back, 9 boom, boom boom. Wave after wave of terrifying attacks rained down. Roar, roar, roar. However, the roars of the demonic beasts in front of them were as terrifying as ever. Battle platform bombardment cannons fire. An order rang out from the side. Boom, boom, boom. A deafening explosion rang through the air. A cannon shell that was tens of kilometers in size flew towards the front, forming a mushroom cloud in the air. It was a terrifying sight. However, the demonic beasts were also emitting a terrifying aura. The tens of demonic beasts in front of them could even withstand the attacks of the cannon shells. The speed of their retreat wasn't fast. However, based on the bombardment of the cannon shells and the attacks from the soldiers on the battle platform, they should be able to retreat safely. Not good. Junior brother Invincible, look at Master. 2 First Order God Emperor Realm Abyssal Beasts are flying out from the Devil's Cave and attacking Master. Right at this time, Second Senior Sister pointed to the void in front of her and exclaimed to Invincible. Invincible looked over, and his face sank. Fuck, where's Azurely's trump card? Isn't Azurely very strong? Take out your trump card and kill these demonic beasts? Invincible roared with an ugly expression. He hesitated for a moment before flying towards the center of the battle platform. Junior brother Invincible. Second Senior Sister's expression changed, and she quickly followed behind. Guild leaders, hurry up. Hurry up and take out your trump cards and retreat from this place. If you guys are any slower, your guild leaders and the others will die. Fuck, can't you guys retreat faster? Invincible flew to the center of the battle platform and looked at the commanders who were launching long-range attacks. He urged with an ugly expression. You! The commanders shouted when they saw Invincible flying over. They stared at him with an ugly expression. Pull him to the side. How can a piece of trash question us? One of the commanders roared angrily when he saw the situation in front of him. The two of you go to the side and wait. Otherwise, run away and don't disturb our commanders. 2 Ninth Order Immortal King Realm experts immediately pulled Invincible over and locked their auras on him. They warned Invincible coldly. Fuck, take out your trump cards. Either you help the Legion commander, or you retreat from this place. Invincible scolded with an ugly expression. Brat, don't cause trouble here if you don't know anything. If you weren't the Vice Legion commander's disciple, we would have punished you by military law long ago. The 2 Ninth Order Immortal God King Realm experts said coldly. Junior brother Woody, don't be rash. Master will be fine. Second Senior Sister, who was sitting beside him, said hurriedly. Yours truly might not know anything, but I do know that your Luli is nothing but trash. Bloody hell. Thankfully, yours truly was thick-skinned enough to ask for some good stuff from Boss Wong and the others. Invincible ignored his senior sister and pointed at the 2 Ninth Order God King Realm experts. Hurry up and take this guy away. If he continues to cause trouble, just lock him up. Hearing Invincible's words, a few battle team leaders ordered with grim expressions. Behind him, a group of soldiers also swept their gazes over coldly. In a short period of time, the entire 3rd Legion knew about this sloppy and cowardly fellow. Although they didn't say anything on the surface, they were cursing him in their hearts. If it wasn't for the fact that he was the disciple of the vice leader, and the fact that the vice leader had risked his life for Liuli, they would have beaten him up long ago. Even if he was the disciple of another God Emperor, he would have been beaten up. Scram! The 2 Ninth Order God King Realm experts lost their patience as they barked coldly. Trash Luli! You want me to do it myself? Invincible raised his middle finger at them and turned to look at the battlefield. In a flash he flew forward. Junior brother Woody. When Second Senior Sister saw Jean Fa Woody flying forward, her expression changed drastically, and she immediately shouted out. That brat is courting death. The Luli soldiers' faces darkened when they heard Invincible's words. She said coldly when she saw him flying over. "Senior sister, don't follow me. Don't worry, I'll be fine." After saying that, Invincible Battle waved his hand, and a piece of blood-red cloth was draped over his body. "Grandpa Skyray, I hope you're not lying to me." He patted the mark of a venerable on his body, and waved his arm once again. Roar, roar. A low roar could be heard as Long Lei appeared beside him. "Brother Duan Jinming, you're the most honest. You won't lie to me." Invincible waved his arm, and a water droplet cannon appeared beside Long Lei. "Long Lei, control the water droplet cannon, and open a path of life and death for me." Invincible Battle Law stood on the head of Long Lei, and ordered loudly with a thought. "Buzz!" Long Lei waved his arm, and controlled the 1,000-meter water droplet cannon. He placed all the water attribute divine stones he had prepared in advance into the cannon. "Go get closer to my master," Invincible roared. Buzz! Long Lei's body moved, and he flew up into the sky. "Senior sister, please take a picture of my heroic and invincible appearance." Invincible turned around and shouted at his second senior sister. "There's something wrong with that guy's brain." On the platform, all the soldiers commented in disdain when they saw Invincible flying over at this moment. There were billions of demons ahead. If he flew over at this moment, he would definitely be attacked by them. With just a few thousand demons attacking, that hateful fellow was completely obliterated. Even a pinnacle god king would die if he flew over at this moment. Although my junior brother is afraid of death, he's not stupid. Since he has such a good relationship with the Dragon King, he might have some treasures. Second senior sister looked at Invincible flying over from the back with an ugly expression. All she could do was comfort herself. As expected, just as Invincible Battle Mage and the others flew for about 50 million kilometers, countless demons noticed them. In front of him, the two peak stage god king evil beasts let out a furious roar and charged towards him. Behind them, there were also hundreds of thousands of evil beasts attacking. Their terrifying power covered the entire starry sky. If that lad doesn't escape now, he'll probably die. Given that Trash's character, he'll definitely escape immediately. On the stage, everyone could see clearly that Wuxia had launched an attack. Wuxia said coldly. The few battle group leaders looked on indifferently. "How dare you attack me? With the Dragon Palace at my back, my powers are boundless." Water droplet cannon attack. When Invincible saw the demons attacking him, his face was filled with rage as he bellowed out. Buzz! Swoosh! A rain-like sound came from the water droplet cannon. End of chapter. Chapter 2907. Showtime on Swish Swish Swish. Swish Swish Swish. Swish Swish Swish. A large number of water elemental law stones were converted into energy, and the water droplet cannon let out a unique sound. The sound of rainwater was heard. In the next moment, countless dazzling raindrops fell towards the army of demons. They met the attacks of the demons. Pa 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 pa. The dense water droplets covered an area of 500 million kilometers. Soon, the raindrops met the attacks of the demons and penetrated them. Even the attacks of the two pinnacle immortal king god realm demons were neutralized. The rest of the raindrops continued to fall. Soon the cries of the demons were heard. Swish swish swish. Before the demons could react, the water droplet cannon in front of Long Ge launched a second round of attacks. Countless raindrops continued to fall. This time, it only attacked the two pinnacle immortal king god realm demons. The two pinnacle immortal king god realm demons let out a fearful roar. At this moment their bodies were covered with wounds. The raindrops penetrated their wounds. Those with trypophobia would definitely faint if they looked at it. The two pinnacle immortal king god realm demons raised their heads and shot out flames towards the raindrops. Swish swish swish. However, the dense and terrifying raindrops pierced through the flames and continued to engulf the demons. The two pinnacle immortal king god realm demons, that were the focus of the water droplet cannon, were penetrated by the water droplets, and their vitality was drained rapidly. Within 500 million kilometers of these two pinnacle immortal king god realm demons, hundreds of millions of demons were killed. SSS, what a terrifying weapon. That guy has such a treasure. 2 pinnacle immortal king god realm demons were killed instantly. This weapon of war is so powerful. These 2 rounds of attacks have killed at least hundreds of millions of demons. Damn, this kid has such a treasure on him. Did the deputy leader give it to him to protect his life? On the fighting ring, everyone was shocked when they saw this. Such a weapon was a great killing weapon. Their colored glass also had such a treasure, but they would only take it out at a critical moment. Second senior sister also opened her mouth slightly, and her eyes shone brightly. Master didn't give it to him. He must have gotten it from the Dragon Palace. She murmured. That kid is out of luck. His 2 rounds of attacks have attracted the attention of the evil army. The evil army is going to change their target. There are 7 to 8 peak level God King realm monsters that have locked onto that kid. If he doesn't escape, he'll be finished. At this moment, an exclamation came from the fighting ring. Jean-F.A. Woody took out the water droplet cannon and killed 2 God King pinnacle evil spirits. The hundreds of millions of evil spirits attracted the attention of the entire evil spirit army. Under the guidance of the 7 to 8 pinnacle God King realm fiends, the entire fiend army actually attacked Jean-F.A. Woody. In other words, Invincible Warrior would have to face the attacks of the entire third army. Oh my god, damn it, Dragon Tool continued to attack. So. Countless raindrops shot towards the demonic army. After a round of attacks, hundreds of millions of evil spirits were killed. However, the 8 pinnacle God King realm fiends had witnessed the power of the raindrops. Hence, they were not injured due to their vigilance and defense. Continue. Jean-F.A. Woody continued to shout. So. Don't stop, keep attacking. He shouted loudly. Ha! Damn, it can't be. So many water attribute law stones are all gone. However, the attacks only lasted for 2 rounds. All the law stones that he had accumulated were used up. This is too much. Who can afford to play with such a huge consumption? Jean-F.A. Woody roared with a black face. He waved his arm, and could only keep the water droplet cannon. However, the terrifying strength of the water droplet cannon, that killed 5 to 600 million evil spirits, in 4 rounds of attacks was already displayed. The energy of that kid's supreme treasure has been used up. On the fighting ring, a group leader said when he saw Jean-F.A. Woody keeping his water droplet cannon. Such a treasure can kill so many evil spirits. It's already very terrifying. A battle group leader beside him said. If he doesn't escape, he'll be drowned by the evil spirit army. Everyone on the fighting ring said. Jean-F.A. Woody took out his water droplet cannon and attracted the firepower of the evil spirits. This made things much easier for them. Everyone was looking at him. Fuck, do they really think that I'm Lily's trash? Jean-F.A. Woody floated in the air and shouted loudly when he saw the evil spirit army charging over. His voice was very loud, and all the soldiers of Liuli on the fighting ring heard it clearly. This made their eyes turn cold as they gritted their teeth. However, many people were slightly surprised. Could this guy have more treasures? Let me show you the poison that my big brother gave me. I'll fuck you bastards to death. As Jean-F.A. Woody spoke, jade bottles appeared in his hands. He grabbed a bunch of jade bottles and handed a few of them to Long Lei. Little treasure. Aim at the 8 pinnacle God King evil spirits. Aim at one point, and the jade bottles will explode in front of them. As Jean-F.A. Woody spoke, he also held a jade bottle in his hands. Sigh, this is all the poison that my 2 big brothers gave me. My heart aches. After this, I must get Lioli to reimburse me. As Jean-F.A. Woody spoke, he waved his arm and threw the jade bottle at the evil spirit army in front of him. Long Lei also threw the jade bottle at the 8 pinnacle God King evil spirits with force. Chapter 2908, Showtime. What's going on? SSS, look, the entire army of evil seems to have stopped. Look at the 8-peak Divine King realm evil beasts. They are roaring crazily. Their bodies are festering, and they seem to be dying. What a terrifying attack. What is that? This is really creepy. What the hell did that guy throw out? The entire army of evil seems to be infected. At this moment on the fighting ring, all the Azure Glaze soldiers widened their eyes and looked in front of them in shock. The 8-peak Divine King realm evil beasts were collapsing, and their vitality was disappearing rapidly. The army of evil, which consisted of billions of soldiers, stopped in the void. Miserable cries lingered in the air. The entire army of evil seemed to have entered hell, as they let out soul-piercing screams. All the soldiers felt their scalps go numb when they saw this. Only their 1 billion soldiers would be able to fight against this army of demons and evil. However, the item that the kid took out could almost destroy the entire army of evil. Up ahead, hundreds of millions of demons and monsters died in droves, and hundreds of millions of them collapsed. After they died, their bodies looked hideous and disgusting. It should be poison. Look at the corpses of those evil beasts. It's a horrifying poison. Even peak Divine King Realm experts will die if they come into contact with it. How terrifying. I don't think the deputy commander gave this kid this poison. I don't think the deputy commander would give such a dangerous thing to him. In front of the battle platform, several battle group leaders said with shock in their eyes. The treasures that the annoying kid took out were more horrifying than the previous one. Look, 4/5 of the army of evil is dead. Shocked voices came from all around. All the soldiers were dumbfounded. That cowardly and shameless guy that made them feel disgusted had almost wiped out an entire demon legion. Even the Third Army couldn't achieve such a result. In the void at the forefront, the besieged Celestial Emperor of Upper Water and the Fourth Supreme Elder also sensed the situation. They were shocked when they saw it with their divine senses. Good. Invincible, I can still hold on for a while. The Celestial Emperor of Upper Water was excited. He knew that his disciple must have gotten something good from the Dragon Palace to save his life. However, this thing was a little fierce. Alright. Fourth Supreme Elder also revealed a smile on his face. Once the soldiers were certain of their safety, they would be able to escape. But right at this time, the 3 First Order God Emperor Realm demonic beasts that were surrounding the Water God Emperor suddenly attacked Huang Xiaolong. Not good. The Upper Water God Emperor, who had been passively defending, had a drastic change in his expression as he hurriedly tried to block the attack. But right at this time, the other 2 First Order God Emperor Realm abyssal species became ruthless and pounced towards him. The Upper Water God Emperor's face turned pale as his body was swept away by the energy. Pooh! He spat out a mouthful of blood. Would he run? The Upper Water God Emperor roared loudly with an anxious expression on his face. That was a Void First Order God Emperor demonic demon, with a body size of approximately 5,000 meters. He looked like a praying mantis. He stared at unparalleled combat technique in front of him. His figure flashed, and he charged over at an abnormally terrifying speed. Not good. A Celestial Emperor evil monster has its eyes on that kid. Oh no, a God Emperor Realm demonic demon has locked onto a space. He can't even return to his God Kingdom. It's over. It's a pity for that kid. Even though he's disgusting, he did a great job. On the battle stage, the soldiers saw a First Order God Emperor Realm evil monster charging towards unparalleled combat technique, and their expressions changed. It was too easy for a God Emperor to kill a God King Realm expert. He could not even escape even if he wanted to. Fuck. Unparalleled combat technique could feel a great terror enveloping him. His body trembled as he cursed. With a wave of his hand, he kept the dragon machinery into his spatial ring. Before he could take out any treasures to defend himself, he saw a huge claw descending on his head. Grandpa Sky Array, bless me! Such a terrifying speed did not allow unparalleled combat technique any time to react. He could only stand there in a daze. It's over. When second senior sister saw this scene, her face turned pale, and she hurriedly closed her eyes. On the battle stage, all the soldiers frowned slightly. They looked at unparalleled combat technique and sighed in their hearts. Boom! A terrifying collision sound resounded. An unparalleled combat technique's figure was sent flying for dozens of kilometers. However, there was no sign of injury on his body. At this time, the mark of the venerable ancestor on his body emitted a blood-red glow. Behind him, there was a 10,000-meter blood-red shadow shrouding him. Ha ha ha, awesome, hee hee. When unparalleled combat technique saw that there was no sign of injury on his body, and he could feel the imposing shadow surrounding him, his face lit up with excitement. Little bastard, you dare to attack this young master? Why don't you take a look at who's protecting this young master? Unparalleled combat technique floated in the void as he pointed his middle finger at the mantis-like First Order God Emperor Realm evil monster, and roared in disdain. This is a defensive treasure that can actually defend against a God Emperor Realm attack. Fuck, how many treasures does that guy have? He even has such a treasure. In front of the battle stage, the group of battle group commanders couldn't help but curse out loud when they saw this scene. An incomparably powerful water-attributed divine artifact, and a horrifying poison. Now, he even took out a defensive treasure that could defend against a God Emperor's attack. This guy's entire body was filled with treasures. This was too amazing. This guy has so many treasures. All the colored glass realm soldiers sighed in their hearts. But at this time, the mantis-like First Order God Emperor Realm evil monster saw that unparalleled combat technique was unharmed. His bloodthirsty eyes stared at the shadow surrounding him, and a cold expression appeared on his face. His figure flashed again, as he pounced towards unparalleled combat technique. Do you really think this young master is a pushover? Unparalleled combat technique was enraged when he saw the evil monster charging towards him once again. With a wave of his hand, the resplendent immortal beheading gourd appeared in his hand. Without any hesitation, he pulled out the gourd's lid and willed it. Numerous wind-attributed immortal beheading swords flew at a terrifying speed towards the First Order God Emperor Realm evil monster in front of him. Half of the wind-attributed immortal beheading swords that he had accumulated for 2 years flew out. The moment the First Order God Emperor Realm evil monster saw the immortal beheading gourd's immortal beheading gourd, it felt the threat of death looming over it. Its eyes were filled with fear, and it wanted to stop its body and escape. However, the distance between them was too close, and the immortal beheading gourd was too fast. So. 13 immortal beheading gourds. Immortal beheading gourd instantly enveloped it. Every immortal beheading gourd's immortal beheading gourd had the power of a First Order God Emperor Realm expert. This was equivalent to 13 Emperor Gods launching an attack at the same time. Moreover, this First Order God Emperor Realm evil monster had no time to react. Poo. In the next moment, the 13 immortal beheading gourd's body was pierced through. Roar. An incomparably painful scream came from the First Order God Emperor Realm evil monster's mouth. His life force was disappearing at a terrifying speed, and his body slowly fell to the ground. The First Order God Emperor Realm evil monster had fallen. Unparalleled combat technique's heart pounded violently as he watched this scene. He pursed his lips and raised his head slightly. Courting death. Of all people to provoke, why did you provoke this young master? Unparalleled combat technique said calmly. Chapter 2909, Battle Time. Next gulp. Dumbfounded. The soldiers of the Colored Glass Third Legion were dumbfounded. On the battle stage, everyone stared blankly at the lifeless First Order God Emperor Realm demonic beast falling to the ground. Instant kill. A First Order God Emperor Realm demonic beast was killed in an instant. Watching this scene, everyone was in a daze as they stared blankly at the figure in front of them. In their eyes, that loathsome and cowardly fellow had killed a demonic beast in an instant. A blood-red figure shrouded his body, holding a resplendent gourd in his hand. His head was raised arrogantly as he floated in the air. Just now, flying swords flew out from the gourd and killed a First Order God Emperor Realm demonic beast. How is this possible? What treasure is that in his hand? It actually killed a God Emperor Realm demonic beast in an instant. This is too terrifying. Fuck. Why does that fellow have so many treasures on him? He killed a First Order God Emperor Realm demonic beast in an instant. What kind of treasure is that? Even an ordinary God Emperor would find it hard to possess such treasures. How did that fellow get so many treasures? How much luck does he have to obtain so many treasures? It can't be given to him by Lord Vice Commander, right? Even Lord Vice Commander doesn't have such treasures. Soon, discussions broke out on the battle stage. Their eyes were burning with disbelief as they stared at Invincible. They couldn't believe their eyes when they saw so many powerful treasures in front of them. Not even their colored glass God Emperor could take out so many treasures. However, those fellows came one after another, each stronger than the last. It was simply heaven-defying. Junior brother Invincible actually obtained so many treasures from the Dragon Palace. Second senior sister muttered as she looked at Invincible. Her eyes were filled with shock. The divine artifact in her junior brother's hands could kill their master in an instant. Ha ha ha, good. In the void in front of them, the high water god emperor was stunned when he sensed the situation. He couldn't help but burst into laughter. He didn't expect his disciple to obtain so many terrifying treasures from the Dragon Palace. Of the 5 First Order God Emperor realm demonic beasts, 1 had been killed by Invincible, and there were only 4 left. If there were 4 of them, it would be very difficult to threaten his and the 4th Supreme Elder's lives. Gagaga, I've already said that I'm staying here to protect you, Master. But you still don't believe me. Humph. I'll show you the power of my invincible battle techniques. When Invincible Battle Law heard Shengshui God Emperor's words, he raised his head and laughed. As he spoke, a flute appeared in his hand. It was a yellow jade flute. At the opening of the jade flute, there was a formation, which was set up by the heaven formation. The jade flute was of the earth attribute. Logically speaking, invincible combat technique should not be used. However, the heavenly formation had set up a formation on it. As long as the formation was activated, it could be used immediately. Furthermore, now that the celestial formation's strength had increased, it had left a trace of its own energy in the formation. Even if one wasn't a formation master, they would still be able to activate the formation. Buzz. He activated the array on the jade flute, and a special sound came from it. In the surrounding void, the non-elemental energy began to gather in front of him. What kind of treasure is this? Look at the jade flute in his hand. That mysterious and resplendent aura doesn't seem to be any weaker than that gourd. On the battle stage, all the Lazuli faction soldiers saw Invincible Battle Law take out another jade flute, and their expressions changed again. Don't tell me this guy has more supreme treasures? All the Lazuli faction soldiers widened their eyes. At this time, Invincible Battle Law would naturally not disappoint them. A deep roar resounded. In the void in front of him, a large amount of earth-attributed law energy condensed into a huge creature. From that creature's body, an aura that belonged to a god emperor spread out. In the next moment, that earth-attributed law energy rushed towards a first-order god emperor realm demonic creature in front of Shengshui God Emperor. Hiss! Seeing this scene, everyone sucked in a cold breath again, their faces filled with shock. Motherfucker, is that guy a treasure vault? How could he have so many supreme treasures? A first-order god emperor realm demonic creature. That jade flute actually summoned an earth-attributed first-order god emperor realm demonic creature. This a supreme treasure of heaven and earth. Ha, let's do it. Invincible Battle Law relied on the protection of the scar of the venerable realm to wave his arm, roared and flew towards his master. Roar. The earth-attributed law energy creature's speed was terrifying, and it soon arrived at Shengshui God Emperor's side, fighting one of the demonic creatures. Seeing this scene, the Shengshui God Emperor pursed his lips, his eyes filled with shock. This disciple of his actually obtained so many supreme treasures from the Dragon Palace. In front of him, the 2 demonic creatures besieging Shengshui God Emperor let out angry roars. They swung their huge tails, sweeping towards Shengshui God Emperor and the earth-attributed law energy creature. Master, restrain one of them, I'll kill the other one. Invincible Battle Law roared. All right. Shengshui God Emperor's body trembled, his eyes filled with excitement, and he immediately roared. This disciple of his was not done yet. Boom. In a one-on-one situation, Shengshui God Emperor was not afraid of the demonic creature in front of him. He held a jade pot in his hand, and with a wave of his arm, a large number of water element laws flew out of the jade pot. The water element laws condensed into various weapons, attacking the demonic creature. In an instant, the demonic creature was completely suppressed by Shengshui God Emperor. Invincible Battle Law came to the front, caressing the immortal slaying gourd in his hand, his face filled with pride. Master, watch out! Invincible Battle Law roared, and the gourd lid was opened. All of you come out! With a wave of his hand, immortal slaying swords appeared. Other than the wind element immortal slaying swords that could threaten a first-order god emperor, there were also fire, lightning, and wood elements. However, these three elements could only threaten a peak god king realm expert. Even so, there were too many of these three elements. These three elements added up to a total of 70 to 80 swords. Attack! Swish, swish, swish. With a thought, all the immortal slaying swords attacked the demonic creature in front of Shengshui God Emperor. What a sharp sword, what a terrifying sword! Shengshui God Emperor felt the sharpness of the immortal slaying swords, and his pupils constricted. He raised the jade pot in his hand, and numerous water ropes flew out, binding the demonic creature. Swish, swish, swish. Roar, roar, roar. The demonic creature also felt a strong sense of danger, and fear flashed in its eyes as it tried to escape. However, with Shengshui God Emperor's protection, and the hundreds of immortal slaying swords attacking at a terrifying speed, the demonic creature only managed to dodge half of the immortal slaying swords. Roar, roar. A miserable shriek rang out once again. Ha ha ha, killing a god emperor is like killing a dog. Invincible Battle Law's arrogant voice rang out. I'm begging for monthly votes. The monthly votes will give me a lot of exposure. Thank you brothers for your support. Chapter 29:10. Requesting help from the Dragon Palace. 1. Killing god emperors like dogs. Looking at the life force of yet another fiend god emperor disappearing rapidly, everyone shuddered. In a short period of time, 2 first-order god emperor realm gods were killed by Invincible. They were god emperors. Even in the colored glaze region, they were high and mighty god emperors. However, it sounded weird coming from an 8th-order god king realm master's mouth. But in reality, that incomparably arrogant fellow had killed 2 god emperors and Wuxia. And they were all instant kills. Even though he had treasures to rely on, to be able to take out treasures was his own ability. At the side, the god emperor who was fighting with the earth element life form let out a fearful roar when he saw his comrade fall. On the other side, the other 2 god emperors looked over with fear in their eyes. They roared in unison, exchanged a look, and stopped their attacks. The 3 god emperors retreated swiftly as they let out indignant roars. God Emperor-level demons already possessed their own intelligence. Seeing 2 of their comrades killed, they were slightly afraid. They retreated immediately. Good Qingshan, I didn't expect your disciple to have so many treasures. At this moment, the 4th Supreme Elder flew over from the side. He sized up Jean Fa Wudi with a look of astonishment, and his heart was filled with shock. As the army commander, he was well aware of what had happened on the battle platform in the past few days. Some of his subordinates even reported to him, asking if he should chase this kid out. Since Qingshan had returned when the colored glaze region was in danger, he had to give Qingshan some face, and let this kid do whatever he wanted. However, he didn't expect that Jing Jiu, whom he had assumed to be a bad disciple of Green Mountain, would have so many powerful and formidable trump cards. Every single one of those weapons could kill him in an instant. Ha ha ha, you're welcome. Master, how was it? I told you. I didn't leave because I was afraid you would die. But now humph. Invincible warrior raised his head slightly and said proudly. Humph. The upper water god emperor's face darkened when he saw Invincible acting so arrogantly in front of him. He flew to Invincible's side. Pa! He moved his palm and directly grabbed the back of Invincible fighter's neck. I think you are a little arrogant. Did you get a lot of good stuff from the Dragon Palace this time? As the upper water god emperor spoke, he carried him and flew towards the battle platform. Supreme 4th Elder curiously followed at the side. Ahem, master. I've taken out all the treasures I got from Elder Wang and the others. They've basically all been used up. I wanted to save this to save my life. If I didn't see you in danger, I wouldn't have taken it out. Invincible said with a dark face. Master, I'm your savior now. He shouted loudly. Brat, I see that you've grown up. You can do it now. With 3 or 4 supreme treasures in your hands. Do you want to fly to the sky? When the upper water god emperor heard that he was his savior, his face turned even darker. With a wave of his arm, he tossed it to the ground of the fighting ring. Bam! The powerful force immediately caused it to fall on the deck of the fighting ring. Ah, master, you don't know what's good for you. I begged my grandparents to get these treasures. Invincible fighter said with a sorrowful face. Junior brother Invincible. Second senior sister saw Invincible fighter being tossed over, and immediately walked over to help him up. Ahem, senior sister. Did you record the scene of my invincible fighter killing an emperor god so easily? Invincible fighter kept the mark of the honor on his body, and asked senior sister immediately. Don't worry, I've recorded it. Second senior sister replied speechlessly. That's good, that's good. Fortunately, the scene of my heroic invincible killing an emperor god, like killing a dog, was recorded. Otherwise, I would have suffered a great loss this time. Invincible fighter heaved a sigh of relief and said with a smile. On the surrounding fighting ring, everyone's lips twitched when they heard Invincible fighter's words. However, looking at that sloppy fellow, everyone's heart was filled with dread. This guy's achievement of killing 2 demonic evil god emperors was real. Ah. Qingshan, this disciple of yours really has a lot of treasures. He's really amazing. Supreme Fourth Elder looked at Invincible fighter and exclaimed to the Divine Emperor of Shangshui. Hee, although this disciple of mine is naughty and mischievous, he's quite likable. He got to know the Dragon King of Dragon Palace 10 years ago, and got these treasures from the Dragon King. The Divine Emperor of Shangshui chuckled. Although he didn't like to listen to his disciple's words, he would have been in danger today if it wasn't for this kid. Dragon King? The Dragon King of Dragon Palace? Fourth Supreme Elder's face revealed a look of surprise. Yes, otherwise, how could this kid get so many treasures? Even if he got them, he wouldn't be able to use them. The Divine Emperor of Shangshui said with a smile. Master, I borrowed these treasures and have to return them. Moreover, the Immortal Slaying Sword in the Immortal Slaying Gourd has been used up. I don't have any trump cards left. I think it's time for us to retreat. Why don't we return to the Heavenly Witchcraft Domain, in the Imperial Star Domain? We can go anywhere. At least with Boss Wong and Dragon Palace, it won't be so dangerous. Invincible said to his master. It seems like the Dragon Palace is really strong. Supreme Fourth Elder glanced at the Supreme Treasure in Invincible's hand and said slowly. That's for sure. Invincible Battle replied. Old Fourth, you just sent out a call for help. What's the situation now? We just shook off the Celestial Emperor monsters on our side. At this time, numerous figures flew over from the surrounding battle platforms. The Azure Glass Celestial Emperors heaved a sigh of relief when they saw that they were fine. Hee, it was really dangerous just now. However, thanks to Qingshan's disciple who killed the 2 Celestial Emperors, our crisis was alleviated. Otherwise, it's hard to say what would have happened. Supreme Fourth Elder looked at the Celestial Emperors and said with a smile. What? Qingshan's disciple killed 2 Celestial Emperors? What's going on? The 10 Celestial Emperors were taken aback as they asked. My disciple used the Supreme Treasure to kill the 2 Celestial Emperors. The Divine Emperor of Shangshui explained. Supreme Treasure? The Celestial Emperors were shocked as they looked at Invincible. Greetings, seniors. Invincible chuckled and greeted them when he saw everyone looking at him. Qingshan's disciple has a good relationship with the Dragon Palace. He borrowed many powerful Supreme Treasures from them before he came. He also used the Supreme Treasure to kill more than half of the Celestial Army on our side. Supreme Fourth Elder looked at the void ahead as he spoke to the Celestial Emperors. Chapter 29:11. Seeking help from the Dragon Palace 2-inch Dragon Palace. Hearing the Fourth Supreme Elder's words, everyone was also incomparably shocked. It's good that you and Qingshan are fine. Let's go to the conference room to discuss our next move. The old man in the lead took a look at John Fa Woody as he spoke to the group. Yes, First Supreme Elder. The God Emperors nodded. Stay here with your senior sister. These are the corpses of 2 God Emperors. Give them to the Dragon King when you return to the Dragon Palace. Take it as repayment for lending you so many treasures. The Upper Water God Emperor threw an interspatial ring to Invincible before flying towards the center with the colored glazed Grand Elder and the rest. The corpses of God Emperors, Yao Xie, should be of great use to the Dragon Palace. Invincible muttered as he received the interspatial ring and kept it. Senior sister, show me the video you took. I want to see my heroic figure, he said to his second senior sister. Here, here. Second senior sister opened the intelligence system and passed it to him speechlessly. Hee wow, this is so cool. Totally cool. Killing a first-order god emperor Yao Xia with a wave of his hand. Soon, Invincible's exclamation came from the side. The colored glaze Grand Elder's soldiers' faces darkened when they heard this. This guy's brain was indeed abnormal. Everyone, which one of you doesn't use the intelligence system to connect to your colored glaze region's intelligence system? Not long after, Invincible suddenly asked the soldiers at the side. Oh, I have one here. Take it. An expert in front hesitated before taking out a new intelligence system from his interspatial ring and threw it to Invincible. Although they hated this guy in the beginning, they were still very grateful to him after he helped them resolve a huge crisis, even though this guy's brain was abnormal. Thank you, thank you. Invincible took out the intelligence system from the colored glaze region and smiled. I, Invincible, will leave my legend wherever I go, he murmured. We've lost again this time. We've lost more than 100 million soldiers. At the same time, 13 god emperors were sitting in the conference room in the center of the battle platform. There were 3 old men in the center. They were both second-order void god emperors. However, at this moment, all of their expressions were extremely ugly. The evacuation this time meant that a large portion of Lioli Domain's territory had been taken over by demons. Moreover, when would they stop retreating? Where would he retreat to? Now, with their current strength, they were completely unable to contend against the demons and monsters of Chi Mei territory. What's going on in the Mechanic Emperor district? If we gather all the god emperors in Lioli region, it shouldn't be difficult to resist Chi Mei region, the upper water god emperor said with a frown. Not long after his return, he encountered a crisis. If they continued to rely on these people, they might even fall if they were not careful. It was too dangerous. That group of robots from the Mechanic Emperor domain has amassed a large number of starships and experts from the Mechanic Emperor domain at the border. Even the Masters of Creation from the Mechanic Emperor domain have appeared there before. The god emperors of our colored glaze region must deter them at the border. Even our region lord doesn't dare to leave directly. Once the region lord leaves, if the Masters of Creation lead the army of the Mechanic Emperor region to attack, the losses they will suffer will be 10 times that of these demons from the demon region. The Central Supreme First Elder said with an ugly expression, if not for those bastards from the Mechanic Emperor domain, our colored glaze region wouldn't be so passive. A god emperor slammed the table angrily. Then what do we do now? If they don't send experts over, we won't be able to resist at all. The upper water god emperor asked again, with an unusually solemn expression. Our region master wants to negotiate with the Masters of Creation. I wonder. A god emperor in the center said. At this moment the brain on his body trembled. When he opened the brain and saw the information inside, his expression darkened. What's wrong? The hearts of the Supreme First Elder and the others tightened as they asked immediately. The Masters of Creation have appeared at the border. He wants our colored glaze region to take out 10,000 cubic meters of 2 colored glaze stones and 5 colored glaze stones. In addition, he wants 100 billion tons of divine stones. The god emperor in the center said with an unusually ugly expression. What? How is that possible? If we give so many 2 colored glaze stones to the Mechanic Emperor domain, their strength will increase tremendously. At that time, we will be supporting the enemy. The god emperors roared angrily with an ugly expression. Our region master didn't agree to this condition. Once they absorb these resources, they will be able to create an even more terrifying army. By then, our colored glaze region won't be their match. Given the ambition and aggressiveness of the Masters of Creation, not only will our colored glaze region suffer, but the entire resplendent starry sky will also suffer. The god emperor said with an ugly expression. The robots of the Mechanic Emperor domain were the enemies of mankind. They used human experts as research subjects and created a cyborg army. They used the resources of the human domain as a power source to create galactic battleships. If the colored glaze region agreed this time, It wouldn't be long before the Mechanic Emperor domain would be able to invade the Colored Glaze region with these resources. By then, it would be a true disaster. According to our investigation, the center of the Mechanic Emperor domain is mobilizing an even larger fleet and robot army. They are preparing to invade the border. The God Emperor continued, his expression changing. Does the region master have any instructions? The first Supreme Elder leaned on the chair and asked in a deep voice. There is one. Request for help from the other domains. The God Emperor said. The region master has already contacted the sanctuary, but we don't know if the sanctuary has agreed. Right now, our resplendent starry sky 7 regions and 8 desolate 6 directions have already been annihilated by the Dragon Palace. No one knows where the people of the 8 desolates have escaped to. Tion Fa Ancient Heaven domain is in chaos, and it's impossible for them to come and help us. The sacred region isn't weak, but they don't have many God Emperors. If the sacred region agrees, we should be able to hold them off. However, if the Dragon Palace is willing to help us, it will be different. The first Supreme Elder said. There are already people from the other domains saying that the Dragon Palace's strength surpasses our Colored Glaze region. I wonder if it's true. One God Emperor said doubtfully. Whether it's true or not, the Dragon Palace has 9 divine dragons, and they are definitely not weak. Moreover, the treasure that Qingshan's disciple displayed just now is enough to prove a part of the Dragon Palace's strength. The fourth Supreme Elder said, Qingshan, you have been to the Dragon Palace and have some understanding of them. How is their strength? The first Supreme Elder asked the Upper Water God Emperor. Chapter 29:12. Appeal to the Dragon Palace for help 3-inch. I don't know how strong the Dragon Palace is, but I have seen the Dragon King kill 2 First Order God Emperor realm experts in an instant. The Dragon Palace does have a divine dragon, and there is an 80% chance that it is the legendary divine dragon. The most terrifying thing is that the Dragon Palace has only risen in the Imperial Star region for 10 years. You might not believe it, but 10 years ago, my disciple met the Dragon King. At that time, the Dragon King was only at the Divine Lord level. There's no mistake about this. Back then, the Dragon Palace probably didn't even have a God King expert. In just 10 years, they grew to where they are today. The Dragon Palace gives me an unfathomable feeling. The Dragon King looks very easygoing. As for how strong he is, I don't think he is any weaker than our territorial lord. When Shangshui God Emperor heard the question of the Supreme Grand Elder, and saw that everyone was gathered around him, he pondered for a moment and said, he had no idea how strong the Dragon Palace was, but it gave him an unfathomable feeling. Moreover, that extremely shocking speed of development was inconceivable to him. It seems like the Dragon King has obtained the true legacy of the Divine Dragon. When the crowd heard his words, they were also slightly shocked. Although they knew a little about the Dragon Palace, they were still shocked every time they heard it. In 10 years, he had shaken the starry sky and swept through a region. This was a heaven-defying action. One more thing. The relationship between the sanctuary and the Dragon Palace is not bad. If the Dragon Palace is willing to help us, the sanctuary will come. The Dragon King is very easy to talk to, but I'm not sure about this kind of thing. The Upper Water God Emperor continued. The Territorial Lord is contacting the Holy Lord of the Sanctuary now. Should we give the Dragon Palace a try? The old man beside the Great Supreme Elder said with a frown. If we ask the Dragon Palace to help us, we must at least show enough sincerity. We'd better discuss this matter with the Domain Lord first. If we act rashly and displease the Dragon King, we'll be in trouble. The first Supreme Elder said. The Upper Water God Emperor nodded. Sigh, if there is no support, it will be a disaster for our Liuli region. One of the Emperor Gods let out a heavy sigh, feeling extremely solemn. Everyone sat there quietly, their brows furrowed. The Great Supreme Elder took out his brain and reported the situation on their side to the Domain Lord. He also reported some things about the Dragon Palace. There's a message from the Domain Master. Time passed by minute. Half an hour later, the first Supreme Elder said, the sacred region is a little hesitant about helping us. They won't dare to come, and help us in this kind of situation. In addition, the domain master knows that your disciple has a good relationship with the Dragon King, so he wants Qingshan, or your disciple, to test the waters about the reinforcement. The domain master has given us two options. The first option is for you to ask the Dragon King what price we have to pay for their help. Secondly, the domain master has sent me a set of resources. With such resources, will the Dragon Palace be willing to send people? Or how many people will they send? The first Supreme Elder looked at the Upper Water God Emperor and said, "Sure, I'll call that guy over. He can contact the Dragon King." The Upper Water God Emperor nodded and stood up. All right. The God Emperors nodded in agreement. Fortunately, Qingshan is back. Otherwise, it would take some time to contact the Dragon King. Looking at the back view of the Upper Water God Emperor, one of the God Emperors said slowly, "What happened back then was a tragedy brewed by coincidence. The reason why Qingshan can come back is because he is loyal to Lioli." The other God Emperors nodded in agreement. What the fuck, this bunch of Lioli domain bastards. Did I say anything wrong? Did I say that Lioli domain is weak? Did I say anything wrong? In such a situation, my master almost died here. In the end, I still have to take action. To think that Lioli domain is the strongest, the #1 domain in the resplendent starry sky. Bullshit. Why do I feel that it's trash? I'm so angry. What a bunch of idiots. Lioli domain can't be compared to the Dragon Palace. However, just as the Upper Water God Emperor flew over, he heard Invincible's cursing. Second senior sister stood at the side with a dark face, as if she didn't know him. As for the soldiers of Lioli domain behind, they also had a dark face, and looked over at Invincible from time to time. The reason was that Invincible had asked for a brain and registered his name. He was prepared to leave his legend in Lioli domain. A perfect video of him killing God Emperor Wuxia. When he posted it in Lioli domain, it had indeed attracted the attention of countless people. Now the war at the front line was related to the crisis of the entire Lioli domain. Such a shocking video naturally spread like wildfire. In just 10 minutes, it had received the attention of hundreds of millions of people. In the video, Invincible's heroic posture had indeed shocked and impressed everyone. They even felt respect for him. However, there was a sentence below the video that made the people of Lioli domain unhappy. Invincible commented that the army of Lioli domain was too trashy. They didn't even have a trump card. They were too useless. This caused some people to be unhappy, and they started to retort. Invincible couldn't stand it. He was the hero of Lioli domain. How dare someone mock him? Hence, Invincible started to retort. He said that Lioli domain was trash, and couldn't be compared to the Dragon Palace. He, a follower of the Dragon King, could easily kill 2 God Emperors Wuxia. Lioli domain couldn't. They were too trashy. His scolding was tantamount to igniting a barrel of gunpowder. Although Invincible killed 2 God Emperors Wuxia, how could others let him off if he scolded Lioli domain? He said that Lioli domain was inferior to the Dragon Palace. How could the people of Lioli domain admit that they were inferior? Hence, there were all kinds of replies. They said that if they weren't facing enemies from both sides, and the army of the Mechanic Emperor region, they could easily destroy the Demon region. They also said that the Dragon Palace was a newly rising force. How could it be compared to Lioli domain? They had a foundation of billions of years. Although no one said that Invincible was an idiot, there were many sarcastic comments. Invincible was naturally possessed by a keyboard warrior. He scolded and replied at the same time. At the side, a group of soldiers from Lioli domain almost couldn't help but cut Invincible down. Their faces darkened as they watched Invincible scolding on their Lioli domain's AI. "Invincible, come here." At this time, the Upper Water God Emperor flew over. Seeing his disciple scolding, he shouted with a black face, "Wait, master. Let me reply a few more words." Invincible said without raising his head. "Be ****." The Upper Water God Emperor's face darkened. He grabbed the back of Invincible's neck and flew toward the central conference room. Unable to hold back, the Upper Water God Emperor pinched the back of his neck. "Ah, master, it hurts." Begging for monthly votes. Pretty boys, please cast a monthly vote. Chapter 29:13. Seeking help from Dragon Palace. 4-inch serves him right. This brat deserves a beating. Well done. This brat is too arrogant. How dare he say that our soldiers are trash in the intelligence system of Lioli region. I want to beat him up. I wanted to, but this brat has too many trump cards. He has a treasure that can defend against an Emperor God's attack. Is Dragon Palace really that strong? Although the speed of their rise is very fast, the foundation of our colored glaze is so deep. Moreover, the Dragon Palace only has over 20 Emperor Gods. If it wasn't for our territorial master and a group of experts guarding the borders of the Mechanic Emperor region, we definitely wouldn't have lost. Dragon Palace might not be as strong as us. Invincible has a good relationship with the Dragon King, which is why he has so many treasures. However, Lioli region has many treasures too. We took out 5 or 6 in the previous war. Dragon Palace has over 20 Emperor Gods. Lioli region has more than Dragon Palace. However, Dragon Palace won't be much weaker than us. They have the legendary Divine Dragon. When they heard Invincible Warrior's screams and saw him being taken away by their vice commander, the soldiers on the fighting platform laughed at his misfortune and began to discuss it. Being provoked by Invincible, they were curious about how strong Dragon Palace was and whether they could be compared to Lioli region. However, as soldiers of Lioli region, based on their understanding, they still thought that they were stronger. His side's foundation was also relatively deep. Supreme First Elder, I've brought my disciple here. At the same time, Shangshui Emperor walked into the meeting room in the center of the platform with Invincible in his hand. Cough, 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 cough. Invincible let go of him. He coughed and looked at the Emperor Gods in front of him. I'm Invincible. Greetings, seniors. He bowed and said hurriedly. Invincible knew his limits when it came to Emperor Gods. He Invincible, right? Lioli region has to thank you. You've saved us a lot of trouble by killing 2 Emperor Gods and Yaoxia. Supreme First Elder said with a smile, and gestured to Shangshui Emperor and Invincible to sit down. No need to thank me. I killed him casually. Invincible pursed his lips and sat down with a smile. In the surroundings, the God Emperor's faces darkened. This kid was really shameless. Woody, I called you here because I need your help with something. Shangshui God Emperor patted Invincible on the shoulder. Master, what can I help you with? If I can do it, I will definitely climb a mountain of blades and dive into a sea of flames. Invincible raised his head slightly and said without hesitation. Cut the crap. This matter concerns the fate of the Colored Glaze region. You should know a little about the current situation of the Colored Glaze region. We, the Colored Glaze region, would like to seek help from other forces. Now, in the resplendent starry sky, besides us, the Dragon Palace is the strongest. We want to seek help from the Dragon Palace. The Upper Water God Emperor said. Of course, we'll ask the Dragon Palace to send experts to help us. We, the Lioli domain, will pay them handsomely. Woody, I heard from your master that you have a good relationship with the Dragon King, and that you can contact the Dragon King. So, we called you here to ask for your help. This is the list of treasures that the Colored Glaze region is willing to offer. We are willing to pay these resources to ask the Dragon Palace to help us get through this crisis. In addition, the Dragon Palace can also state their conditions or exchange for other treasures. We can consider it. Invincible, this matter concerns the life and death of the Colored Glaze region. I will trouble you on behalf of the Colored Glaze region. Taking over the Upper Water God Emperor's words, the first Supreme Elder stood up and passed a list of items to Invincible. At the same time, he bowed deeply to Invincible. Cough, cough, First Supreme Elder. You don't have to be so polite. I can contact the Dragon King, but I can't decide on the specifics. When Invincible saw the first Supreme Elder stand up, he was taken aback as well. He hurriedly stood up and said. He knew that the Colored Glaze region's first Supreme Elder was a second-order God Emperor, one of the pinnacle experts in the entire Colored Glaze region. The situation is a little urgent. If we have enough time, we won't be contacting the Dragon Palace through you, Invincible. The situation is very unfavorable for the Colored Glaze region. We have to think of ways to contact the Dragon Palace as soon as possible. The first Supreme Elder said softly. The current situation was indeed very urgent. They had to be prepared to get a response from the Dragon Palace as soon as possible. Whether they agreed or rejected, they had to be prepared in advance. First Supreme Elder, I'll contact Boss Wang now. There should be no problem. I just chatted with him not long ago. Invincible immediately nodded his head. He could also feel the crisis in the colored glaze region. Even an emperor god could fall. The situation was predictable. However, when he saw the list of resources in front of him, his heart skipped a beat. This amount of resources was really terrifying. Wang. Invincible clicked his tongue and took out the communication stone plate to contact Wang Xian. At this moment, Wang Xian was sitting in the imperial study of the Dragon Palace. He had just received a message from the domain master of the sacred region. The domain master of the sacred region had sent a message. The domain master of the colored glaze region, the supreme expert of the colored glaze region, had contacted him. He wanted the sacred region to lend a helping hand and help them tide through this crisis. The sacred region had yet to reply to him. The message from the domain master of the sacred region also mentioned that the colored glaze region might request for assistance from the Dragon Palace. He was a little surprised when he saw this message. He had not expected the situation in the colored glaze region to be so bad that the domain master of the colored glaze region had personally requested for assistance. Invincible, that brat said yesterday that he had killed many demons and monsters. It seems like he was bragging. Wang Xian murmured to himself. The domain master of the sacred region had sent him a message, mainly to see the Dragon Palace's opinion. If the colored glaze region approached the Dragon Palace, and the Dragon Palace was willing to lend a helping hand, they might agree. If the Dragon Palace did not agree to provide assistance, they would also reject it. After all, in terms of strength, the colored glaze region was several times stronger than the sacred region. If they were to fall into the colored glaze region, the sacred region would be in big trouble. Wang. Just as Wang Xian was thinking, the communication stone plate at the side vibrated. Huh? Invincible, that guy? Wang Xian looked at the message and clicked on it. Wow, Boss Wang, you're so cool today. Just as he clicked on the video, he heard Invincible's exaggerated voice. His face darkened slightly. Hurry up and spit it out, he said directly, speechless. Hee, Boss Wang, there's something, and it's something big. But it's about the colored glaze region. Boss Wang, the experts of the colored glaze region want me to contact you and request for assistance from the Dragon Palace. Invincible smiled and said. As for the corpses of the demons, although they were valuable, they were useless if they were dead. Woody agreed with the Dragon King immediately. If the Dragon King is willing to bring his men here personally, we will definitely give the Xiaolong Palace all the rewards. The Supreme Great Elder and the others exchanged glances and immediately spoke to Invincible. Wang Xian, who was in the video, could hear his words clearly. All right, I'll rush over now. Send me the coordinates of a planet closest to the Holy Land. If our Dragon Palace is willing to help, you can invite the sanctuary, and they will be willing to help. Wang Xian answered directly. Thank you for your help, Dragon King. The Lioli domain will be forever grateful. The Supreme Great Elder and the others replied immediately. All right, I'm hanging up. Upon hearing the gratitude from the other side, Wang Xian spoke to Invincible and hung up the call. Hee, Boss Wang is really easy to talk to. With Boss Wang's help, even the small demons and monsters will be wiped out easily. When the 9 divine dragons come, even the demons and monsters will tremble in fear. Seeing that the video call ended, Invincible lifted his head slightly and said proudly. Hee, the Supreme Great Elder and the others chuckled and were in a good mood. Invincible, I'll give you an address later. Send it to the Dragon King, and we will go over to welcome the Dragon King personally. The Supreme Great Elder and the others said. All right. Invincible nodded and suddenly squinted his eyes. Great Elder, fellow God Emperors, I, Invincible, have heard a lot about you guys. Can you take a photo with me? As Invincible spoke, he took out the artificial intelligence and grinned. Sure. The god emperors from the Lioli domain were taken aback and immediately nodded. It was just a photo. Since he was just a kid, they naturally had to cooperate. What the hell are you up to, kid? Seeing his strange behavior, the god emperor of Upper Water felt that he was up to no good and asked him, "What can I do, master?" "I'm just taking a photo," Invincible explained hurriedly. After taking the photo, he couldn't hold back his laughter. The god emperors didn't mind. They immediately reported the news to the domain lord and prepared for the next step. As for Invincible, he turned on the artificial intelligence and looked at the photo he took with the god emperors from the Lioli domain. His lips curved into a smile. "A bunch of little brothers, watch your words. Look at the photo I took with the god emperors. Hee. You bunch of scums, don't be arrogant in front of me in the future. I just contacted my boss Wang, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace." Do you know why I contacted the Dragon Palace? The Lioli domain is in a crisis now. I'm asking for the Dragon King's help. With my help, I invited the Dragon Palace. The Dragon King is coming over to help you personally. When the time comes, I'll show you the strength of the Dragon Palace and the gap between you and the Dragon Palace. Hee. The arrival of my boss Wang will easily solve the crisis in the Lioli domain. Be obedient when you speak to me in the future. I'm your savior. Hee. Looking at the words he had edited, he couldn't hold back his laughter. He attached the photo and sent it over directly. In the Lioli region, countless people were ridiculing Unrivaled Battle Mage's first message. Seeing this message, everyone could not help but be slightly stunned. Prime Minister Turtle informed the disciples of the god emperors of the Dragon Palace to get ready. At the location of the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian called Prime Minister Turtle over and told him about the situation in the Lioli domain. Yes, Dragon King, this trip to the Lioli domain is indeed a great opportunity for the Dragon Palace. If we can get a large amount of resources, it will be a great improvement for the Dragon Palace. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Yeah, and this time, we can get to know the Qi Mei domain and the Mechanic Emperor domain better. Wang Xian nodded. He had some understanding of the Qi Mei domain. It was the place where the spiritual energy on Earth had recovered. Chapter 29:15. Seeking help from the Dragon Palace. 6 demons were a term used on Earth. In the resplendent starry sky, they were sometimes referred to as demons, or demons. As for why they were called that, Wang Xian had no idea. Demons had a very powerful ability. They could be summoned through a certain method. The summoning was not limited by distance. The summoned demons were bound by the summoner. However, the demons' lairs would be summoned along with the demons. This demon's lairs had a terrifying ability to assimilate a living creature into a demon and reduce its rationality. A large number of demons were summoned to assimilate the summoner, wreaking havoc in the void and increasing their strength. The crisis in the Lioli domain this time was because the Lioli domain found out that the summoned demons had returned. Demons were very strong. In a demon's lair, there would be a large number of demons and a demon leader. The battles between demons and demons would usually involve a demon's lair and a large number of demons to invade. However, this had a fatal weakness. Once the opponent was strong enough, they would be able to counterattack the demon's lair and kill all the demons. The reason why Wang Xian agreed to the invitation of the Lioli domain was firstly, because of their remuneration. Secondly, the demon's lair and the demons in it. If the Dragon Palace wanted to improve tremendously, it could only go through war and slaughter. Clearly, the demon's region was a good choice. Buzz buzz. At this time, Invincible Fighter sent a location with a message. Wang Xian stood up immediately when he saw the message. Prime Minister Turtle, I'll head over personally this time. After I'm there, I'll build a dragon palace in the ocean of the Lioli domain. I'll be waiting for your orders, he instructed Prime Minister Turtle. Yes, Dragon King. Prime Minister Turtle nodded. Wang Xian moved and disappeared in the next moment. He appeared in front of the teleportation formation of the Dragon Palace. After stepping into the teleportation formation, Wang Xian arrived at the territory of the Sacred Region. It was a planet with life near the central region of the Sacred Region. Now that the Dragon Palace had built dragon palaces on dozens of planets in the sacred region, it was much more convenient to travel. After flying out of the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian used the teleportation formation of the sacred region and flew towards the border of the Lioli domain. Swoosh! When he arrived at a planet at the border of the sacred region and the Lioli region, Wang Xian leaped and appeared in the void. The wings of the unbeginning spread out, and he looked forward. He squinted his eyes slightly, and there was an eager look in his eyes. I wonder how fast I can fly at full speed. He flapped his wings slightly, and in the next moment, he instantly disappeared into the horizon. According to some records, a First-Order God Emperor Realm expert would need 10 days to travel from the Saint Realm's border to the nearest life star in the Glaze region. However, with Wang Xian's speed, he could shorten the time by dozens of times. Wang Xian shuttled through the void at a terrifying speed. He tore the space apart and flew between the gaps of the space. Like a ray of light, he sped along at high speed. An hour later, Wang Xian came out of the space gap at a reduced speed. He looked around and revealed a faint smile. 1 hour. My speed is really terrifying. Wang Xian looked at the time and the distance. His lips curled into a smile. He continued flying for another 3 minutes before a habitable planet appeared in front of him. Using his divine sense, he came to the landmark of this planet, a tall tower. At this moment, a group of people on the tower were setting up something. In the next moment, Wang Xian stood on the high platform. The group of people at the side had not noticed his arrival. I heard that the Dragon King will be coming to our place later. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. We will be lucky to meet him later. Who do you think is stronger, the Dragon King or our territorial master? Of course it's our territorial master. Our territorial master became an emperor god 50 million years ago. He is so powerful that even the creators of the Mechanic Emperor domain are afraid of him. The Dragon King should be very powerful too. However, I did not expect the battlefield between the Lioli region and the enchantment region to be in such a crisis that we are forced to ask for reinforcements. Fortunately, the Dragon Palace is willing to help us. It's mainly because our territorial master and a group of experts are guarding the border of the Mechanic Emperor domain to prevent the Mechanic Emperor domain from attacking. Otherwise, we can easily get rid of the enchantment region. Now, that brat named Invincible Warrior is too arrogant. How dare he say that we are inferior to the Dragon Palace, and that we are trash. I'm so angry. If I see him, I'll definitely beat him up. That brat's mouth stinks as if he ate shit. However, it's true that he killed 2 First-Order God Emperor Realm demonic beasts with the help of a treasure. Moreover, this brat can take pictures with us God Emperors. He is very capable. I heard from the soldiers at the front line that this brat is very arrogant. However, he has the capital to be arrogant. I heard that many young masters and mistresses are planning to teach him a lesson. They said that as long as he eats in the Lioli region, they will find someone to put shit in his food. I think this is the way to deal with this brat. Put shit, ha ha ha. On the tall tower, a group of people laughed as they set up things and chatted. Wang Xian, who was standing at the side, was slightly stunned and speechless when he heard their conversation. How long has this invincible warrior been in the Lioli region? He is already famous in the entire Lioli region, and wants to put shit in his food? Awesome, awesome. You. Who are you? Who are you? At this time, someone suddenly noticed Wang Xian's presence. He was completely stunned as he stared at Wang Xian with widened eyes and vigilance. Where's the God Emperor from the Lioli region? Wang Xian asked them plainly. The God Emperor from the Lioli region? Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the group of people who were setting up on the tall tower were taken aback as they stared at Wang Xian with widened eyes. On his head was a 5-colored crown with the symbol of the divine dragon. He wore 8 different colored divine dragon attire and gave off a profound vibe. You are the Dragon King? An old man narrowed his eyes and asked in a probing manner. Yeah. Wang Xian nodded his head plainly and asked again. Where's the God Emperor from the Lioli region? Greetings, Dragon King. Greetings, Dragon King. The old man shivered and knelt down immediately. The group of people around him also shivered and knelt down as well. Lord Dragon King, our god emperors are rushing towards us. They told us that you are coming and asked us to get ready. We didn't expect you to arrive so soon. The old man said with a face full of awe. Yeah. Wang Xian nodded his head and revealed a faint smile. It seemed like he was too fast and had arrived in advance. They're here. However, at this time, he looked down and saw 3 god emperors rushing towards him at high speed. Chapter 29:16. The shocking decision of the Dragon Palace. Wang. Soon, 3 majestic figures flew over from the top of the tower and landed. However, they were taken aback when they saw the group of experts kneeling on the ground. Looking at the smiling young man, their pupils constricted slightly. Sensing the boundless pressure from him, the 3 of them were stunned. Dragon King. The old man leading the group was taken aback as he asked Wang Xian. Wang Xian nodded his head. Greetings Dragon King. The 3 of them were still in a daze when they saw Wang Xian admitting to it. You're welcome. Are we going to meet your territorial lord now? Wang Xian asked. Dragon King. We thought it would take more than 10 hours for you to rush over from the Imperial Star Domain. We didn't expect you to be here so soon. The 3 of us from Project Colored Glaze, along with Supreme Elder Qingshan and the rest, are here to welcome you. Now that we have just arrived, the first Supreme Elder and the rest are not here yet. Emperor God Colored Glaze, who was in the middle, said awkwardly. They had rushed over immediately after receiving news of the Dragon King's arrival. They immediately ordered the manager of this planet to make arrangements to welcome the Dragon King. However, they did not expect the Dragon King to arrive earlier than them. One should know that the Dragon King had rushed over from the Imperial Star Domain. How could he be so fast? It's all right. Let's wait for them. Oh yes, do you have an artificial intelligence system? Let me see some information about the Colored Glaze region. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head as he spoke to them. Yes. Dragon King, please wait here for a moment. I'll contact the first Supreme Elder and get them to hurry. The 3 Emperor Gods replied immediately as they handed Wang Xian an artificial intelligence system. Subsequently, they got the surrounding people to bring some chairs and some tea over. The manager of this planet immediately went to make the necessary preparations. After receiving the artificial intelligence system from Emperor God Colored Glaze, Wang Xian opened it. As soon as he opened it, he saw a few trending topics. Some of them were about Invincible Warrior. He opened it and looked at the video he had posted and some of the replies. Then, he looked at the second message, and a speechless expression appeared on his face. This guy is still the same as before, Wang Xian remarked plainly. Feeling bored, he looked at the replies below. There were all kinds of comments about invincibility. However, the people of the Lioli region also understood that Invincible Battle Law had a very deep background. It was possible that he had a very good relationship with their Lord God Emperor. Hence, they did not scold him. However, there were many people who said that his combat techniques were invincible and ugly like all kinds of dire beasts. They even gave him a lot of weird videos. It was quite interesting. Boss Wang, you're too fast. Not long after, a very familiar voice sounded. Wang Xian looked over and saw 3 figures flying over at high speed. An old man he didn't know, Shangshui God Emperor, and Zhan Fa Wudi. Greetings Dragon King. I'm sorry to have kept you waiting. We were prepared to welcome you, Dragon King. The other old man was the first Supreme Elder. He apologized to Wang Xian. It's nothing. Wang Xian shook his head nonchalantly. Boss Wang, the speed at which you rushed here is too fast. Invincible walked over and said in surprise. It's not a long journey, so I flew here by myself. Wang Xian patted on Invincible Battle Law's shoulder and greeted Shangshui God Emperor with a nod. Thank you, Dragon King, for your help this time. Dragon King, we'll bring you to our territorial lord. Our territorial lord is currently guarding the border to prevent the Mechanic Emperor domain from interfering. She can't come here directly. Please forgive us, Dragon King. The first Supreme Elder said to him. It's all right. Our Dragon Palace has been keeping an eye on the situation in the Lioli region. I understand. Wang Xian shook his head. He knew that the territorial lord was completely pinned down at the border with the Mechanic Emperor domain. Let's head over directly, Wang Xian said to them. Thank you, Dragon King, for your understanding. This way, please. The first Supreme Elder smiled and gestured. Wang Xian nodded and followed behind. He waved his arm and kept the immortal slaying gourd, Scar of the Venerable One, and Earth Control from Invincible Battle Law. Wow, Boss Wang, leave one for me too. Invincible Battle Law screamed in agony. Following the Supreme Elder of the Liuli region, they passed through the teleportation formations. 3 hours later, they arrived at a desolate starry sky. The place that the teleportation formation reached wasn't a planet, but a continent. A continent with a strong military. Thank you, Dragon King, for coming. A voice was heard when Wang Xian flew out. A gentle-looking and amiable old man walked towards Wang Xian and extended his palm. Around him, there were 20 elders, and every one of them was at the level of a god emperor. Clearly, this old man was the Liuli region lord, the strongest expert in Liuli region, and also the strongest expert in the entire Liuli region. You must be the territorial lord. Nice to meet you. Wang Xian walked over, extended his hand with a smile, and shook hands with the territorial lord. It's a blessing for the Liuli region that the Dragon King is willing to lend us a hand. Here, I'd like to thank the Dragon Palace for their assistance. The territorial lord expressed his gratitude again. Hehe, you're too kind, territorial lord. Wang Xian exchanged some pleasantries with him, before following the territorial lord to the palace at the side. Chapter 29:17. The shocking decision of the Dragon Palace, to the existence of the Mechanic Emperor domain, had always been a threat to humans. When they were weak, they laid low and developed. Later on, when they gradually grew stronger, they wanted to invade the Liuli region. However, as the number one region in the resplendent void, the Liuli region had a strong foundation and many experts. The Mechanic Emperor domain had never succeeded. Moreover, as the Mechanic Emperor domain was surrounded by boundless void, they could only enter other regions in the resplendent void by attacking the Liuli region. This was also the reason why the Mechanic Emperor domain always wanted to destroy the Liuli region. In particular, the Liuli region was rich in resources, and had the glazed double-colored stone, and the 5-colored stone that the Mechanic Emperor domain coveted. As long as there were enough glazed double-colored stones, the creator could create powerful robots of the Emperor God level. With the 5-colored stone, they could create even stronger robots. The Mechanic Emperor domain wanted to invade the Liuli region once they had the chance. Dragon King, this way please. Following the territorial lord to a hall, the territorial lord gestured to the center. Wang Xian nodded and sat down. The territorial lord sat beside him, and the rest of the Emperor gods sat around. Dragon King, we have no choice but to seek help from the Dragon Palace. I believe you have a better understanding of the current situation in the Liuli region. We are very grateful that the Dragon Palace is willing to help. We can give you a portion of the reward in advance. The territorial lord sat down and said to Wang Xian, Hehe, I believe in Liuli. I didn't bring any subordinates this time. I'll have to trouble you to give me a planet with an ocean. I'll build a teleportation formation on the planet. Based on the situation in the Liuli region, the Dragon Palace can send more experts over at any time to help Liuli overcome this crisis. Wang Xian said with a smile. Oh, the Dragon Palace's array formation is really powerful to be able to build a teleportation formation over such a long distance. A planet is a small matter. I'll get someone to send it over immediately. The territorial lord nodded with slight surprise. I wonder if you want us to help you deal with the enchantment region, or to help you defend against the Mechanic Emperor domain. Wang Xian asked the territorial lord. Dragon King, this is all the information about the enchantment region and the Mechanic Emperor domain. You can take a look at it yourself. The territorial lord said with a smile, and handed him the information. Wang Xian took it and switched it on. The first thing he did was to read the information about the Qimei region. His purpose of coming here this time was to hunt the demons of Qimei region. The more Dragon Palace members they killed, the more Dragon Palace would reap. I didn't expect this Qimei region to be so strong. When Wang Xian saw the information about the region of enchantment, he was shocked. Compared to the information obtained by the Dragon Palace, the intelligence system was much more detailed. The Dragon Palace only had a rough idea, but as the Lioli region, they had detailed information. They had sent countless scouts into Qimei region to investigate the situation. According to the information, Lioli region had found that there were more than 20 God Emperor level demons in Qimei region. This was only what they had discovered. There were still many things that they had yet to discover. However, the demon fiend God Emperor of the Qimei region did not mean that he would invade the Colored Glaze region. Currently, there were only a dozen demon evil God Emperors and their races that had invaded. However, since the war started, more and more demon evil God Emperors had joined in with their demon dens. The Colored Glaze region was getting more and more worried. The demons of the Colored Glaze region can be summoned to another void. Not long ago, we discovered that the summoned demons were returning one by one. Moreover, many of them are extremely powerful. In a short period of time, the Qimei region has gained more than a dozen demon evil God Emperors and their races. This is a huge threat to our Colored Glaze region. Moreover, according to the information we received, there is a demon den in the center of the Qimei region. In that demon den, there is a terrifying demon whose strength should be at the Third Order Void God Emperor realm. Currently, that demon evil God Emperor has not shown any signs of invading our Colored Glaze region. Considering all these factors, we have decided to request for assistance from the Dragon Palace Sanctuary. The territorial lord said directly. Wang Xian nodded slightly. With such a terrifying existence appearing next door, the Colored Glaze region was naturally worried. After looking at the information about the Qimei region, Wang Xian flipped through the information about the Mechanic Emperor domain. Regarding the Mechanic Emperor domain, the Colored Glaze region was also very familiar. The greatest threat of the Mechanic Emperor domain was the Master of Creation. He was the ruler of the entire Mechanic Emperor domain. The robots of the Mechanic Emperor domain enhanced their strength through various materials and treasures. They could not cultivate. However, they had one thing that was very strong. Their army had absolute rational combat strength and terrifying calculation ability. They also had countless warships and fighter aircrafts. Their warships and fighter aircrafts were equivalent to a special life form. This was because these aircrafts and warships had their own intelligence, just like the robots. The robots had no weaknesses and were extremely strong.